Welcome to the Rugby Obsession Deep Dive.
It is great to be here. And honestly, looking at the rugby landscape this week, it feels like we're watching a tectonic shift happen in real time.
We really are. Usually when we talk about a crisis in rugby, it's about financial sheets or complex tackle laws, things that, let's be honest, can put people to sleep.
Right.
But this is just pure high-octane drama. It's electric. We have firings, we have deepfake AI videos, and we have a clash of cultures that is just gripping the sport.
It's the perfect storm, really. On one side, you've got the current turmoil in New Zealand rugby, a proud nation searching for answers.
Yeah.
And on the other, you have the Springboks and their management, who seem to be operating in a completely different, almost playful reality. It's fascinating watching these two worlds collide.
Exactly. And just to stamp this in time, we're recording this on January 20, 2026. Keep that date in mind because I have a feeling we're going to look back on this week as a huge turning point.
A major one.
And the catalyst for all of this chaos. Who else but Springboks coach Rassie Erasmus, causing an absolute stir on social media about his attack coach, Tony Brown.
It is classic Rassie, but the ripples this time feel like they're hitting New Zealand shores harder than usual.
Oh, yeah. We are going to unpack every single layer of this. Our primary source for today is a really comprehensive article from Planet Rugby by Jared Wright. It's titled Childish Rassie Erasmus Slammed for Massive Disservice to Scott Robertson. We're going to get into the memes, the anger, and the much, much deeper structural problems this spat has exposed.
And this is why we do these deep dives, right? Because on the surface, it's just a funny video. But underneath, it's a debate about the future of how rugby nations are built.
Before we jump into the whole Wolf of Wall Street incident, and trust me, you want to hear this. If you want to stay ahead of the curve on these unfolding dramas, you really need to subscribe to Rugby Obsession right now.
Absolutely.
This story is moving fast and we're tracking every twist, so hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a thing.
You do not want to be the last one to know about the next chapter in this saga.
Okay, let's unpack this. The Wolf of Wall Street incident. To really get why this blew up, we have to set the stage. This didn't just happen in a vacuum.
No, it didn't. To understand the punchline, you have to understand the setup. The rugby world was already reeling from the firing of All Blacks head coach Scott Robertson.
That is a seismic event in itself.
Huge. When the All Blacks fire a coach, the whole world stops to look.
And naturally, when a job that big opens up, the rumor mill goes into complete overdrive about who comes next.
Precisely. And right now, the name on everyone's lips is Jamie Joseph.
Oh.
He's emerged as the clear favorite to take the All Blacks job.
Okay.
Now, here's where it gets complicated for South Africa. Jamie Joseph rarely works alone. He has a long, long history with Tony Brown.
Tony Brown, who is currently the attack guru for the Springboks.
Correct. Joseph and Brown are seen as a package deal by a lot of pundits. They worked together at the Highlanders. They did amazing things in Japan.
So the rumor started swirling immediately.
Instantly. If Jamie Joseph goes to the All Blacks, surely Tony Brown is going to leave the Springboks and go back to New Zealand to reunite with them.
It makes sense on paper. It's that prodigal son returning narrative. But Rassie Erasmus was having absolutely none of it.
No. And this is where it gets really interesting. Most coaches, if they want to deny a rumor, they play it safe. They issue a press release.
A very stiff statement, yeah. Tony Brown is under contract and we are focused on the season.
Right. We do not comment on speculation.
Yeah.
That's standard corporate speak that tells you nothing.
Not Rassie. Rassie decides to hop on social media. He posts an image and then a video. And it isn't a press conference clip.
No.
It is a deepfake, AI-edited video of Tony Brown's face on top of Leonardo DiCaprio in The Wolf of Wall Street.
And it's the specific scene choice that makes this so effective. It's the "I'm not leaving" speech.
The iconic one. You have Tony Brown's face screaming into a microphone, I'm not leaving, while the whole office just goes crazy.
What's fascinating here is the method. In the high-stakes world of international rugby, this is unheard of. It's a meme. But if we connect this to the bigger picture of how Rassie manages information, it's actually a brilliant strategy.
How so? Because to some, it just looks like he's goofing around.
Well, think about the efficiency of it. A press release can be parsed. Journalists can look for loopholes. They can say, oh, he said he's committed for now, but what about next month?
Right.
But posting a video of your coach as the Wolf of Wall Street screaming, I'm not leaving, it just shuts the conversation down instantly. It's definitive.
It's emphatic. You can't really argue with a deep fake of someone screaming, the show goes on.
Exactly. And it does something else. It rallies the fans. The South African supporters loved it. It creates this sense of unity and humor within the camp.
It completely frames the narrative on his terms.
Totally. Instead of worrying about losing a coach, everyone is laughing at the video.
He's taking control of the story. But while South Africa was laughing, not everyone found it funny. And that brings us to the backlash, which was swift and very sharp.
No, the reaction in New Zealand was decidedly different. And this is where we need to bring in Scotty Stevenson.
Right.
For those who don't know, he is a renowned New Zealand pundit, very respected host of Sport Nation. He saw this video, and he did not hold back.
No, he really didn't. He used the word childish.
He did. He labeled the post childish, but his critique went much deeper than just calling it immature. He argued it does a massive disservice to Scott Robertson.
Right, because we have to remember the context. Robertson had just been fired.
Exactly. The timing is the critical factor. Stevenson's point is that while South African fans are enjoying this schadenfreude moment,
watching New Zealand rugby in turmoil,
a coaching compatriot, Scott Robertson, has just lost his job. Stevenson feels that Rassie making jokes and posting memes in that specific window was disrespectful.
It's like dancing on the grave a little bit, is the suggestion.
That's the implication, yeah. Like, your house is burning down, but look how much fun we're having. Stevenson called it stirring the pot.
But I was reading the source, and it struck me that Stevenson wasn't just mad at Rassie. In fact, he seems to save his real venom for someone else.
This is a crucial distinction, and I'm glad you caught that. While he called Rassie childish, he called the New Zealand Rugby Board a pack of clowns.
Pack of clowns. That is not a subtle critique.
It is scathing. It suggests that while he finds Rassie's behavior annoying, his real anger, and likely the anger of many Kiwi fans, is directed right at their own administration.
They created the vacuum.
Right. He says they're the ones who created this extraordinary circumstance. They fired the coach, went silent, left the players in limbo, and created the chaos.
So the board created the mess, and Rassie is just the guy pointing and laughing at it.
Precisely. If New Zealand Rugby had their house in order, a meme from Rassie Erasmus wouldn't matter. It only hurts because it hits a nerve. It highlights that South Africa is stable and having fun, while New Zealand is in crisis.
I want to take a quick second here to ask you listening something. We've got Rassie with the AI memes, Scotty Stevenson calling it a massive disservice. What do you think? Was Rassie just being funny and modern, or was he being disrespectful to a fellow coach?
It's a fine line, isn't it?
It is. And hey, if you are enjoying this breakdown of the drama, make sure you hit that subscribe button for Rugby Obsession. We are tracking every twist of this story, and you don't want to miss what happens next.
So moving on. The drama is entertaining, but Stevenson brings up a much more structural issue in his critique, and this is the part that I think really matters for the future.
Okay.
He says the firing of Robertson is forcing New Zealand to take stock.
Stock taking. Sounds like we're counting inventory.
In a way, we are.
Yeah.
But the inventory is players. This goes way beyond just who the coach is. This is about the fundamental rules of how New Zealand rugby operates compared to South Africa.
And this is the eligibility debate, right? The famous Utah-style rules.
Correct. The contrast is stark. South Africa, under Rassie, benefits immensely from being able to select players based abroad. They can play in Japan, France, England, doesn't matter. If they're South African, he can pick them.
It's an open borders policy for talent.
Exactly. Whereas New Zealand has that restriction. If you leave to play for a club overseas, generally you hand in your All Blacks jersey at the airport. You're ineligible.
And that's designed to keep talent in New Zealand's Super Rugby teams, right? To keep the local game strong.
That's the intent. But Stevenson argues that this crisis might be the breaking point where that needs a rethink. Because right now, that rule is hurting the national team.
He used a specific example that I thought was pretty undeniable. He brought up Brodie Retallick.
The former All Black lock. A legend of the game. He retired from international rugby to go play in Japan.
Stevenson pointed out that Retallick is currently playing for his Japanese club. And get this, he recently scored 4 tries in a single game.
Just stop and think about that. A lock scoring 4 tries in a professional game? That is unheard of. It shows he is in incredible form.
Right. And Stevenson's argument is, are you telling me you wouldn't have Brodie Retallick in the All Blacks lineup right now if you could?
And that is the million-dollar question. Stevenson says he absolutely would. He looks at the locking stocks in New Zealand right now, and he sees a problem.
They're young.
They're young, inexperienced. Players like Patrick Tuipulotu were out with injury for long periods last year.
So you have a young, slightly depleted group at home, and meanwhile, you have a world-class veteran scoring 4 tries in Japan who you can't pick because of your own rules.
Exactly. Stevenson calls it out directly. He says, we've got players who, through New Zealand Rugby's own rules and stipulations, can't play for their national side. He's highlighting that South Africa's depth is partly because they don't handcuff themselves like this.
So Rassie has the luxury of picking the best 33 players on Earth regardless of their zip code, and the All Blacks are fighting with one hand tied behind their back.
That's the argument. And it puts the Wolf of Wall Street meme in a whole new light. Rassie is posting, "I'm not leaving," about a coach he lured over, while New Zealand is terrified of losing anyone else.
It connects everything. The humor, the firing, the eligibility. It's all part of the same ecosystem.
But wait, here's where it gets really interesting. Stevenson didn't just take the hits. He threw a bit of a counterpunch at the Springboks.
He did. This is the sting in the tail of his analysis. He admits South Africa has depth, and he admits the eligibility rules help them, but he suggests that everything isn't perfect in the Springbok camp either.
No, he thinks there's a weakness there.
He used the word limping, didn't he?
He did. He said some of those Springboks are limping their way to the next World Cup.
That is a bold statement, given they're back-to-back world champs.
It is bold, but look at the logic.
Yeah.
He described the squad as getting very long in the tooth.
So he's saying they're old.
Essentially, yeah. His argument is that while they are dominant now, they might not be the weapons they once were by the time 2027 actually arrives. He's contrasting New Zealand's painful process of trying to build 50 All Blacks forcing depth now versus South Africa relying on this golden generation.
It's the classic youth versus experience debate.
Precisely. Stevenson is saying, sure, you have the guys now, Sia Khaleesi, Eben Etzebeth, Willie Leroux, but will they still be weapons in 2 years?
It's a fair question. Father Time is undefeated.
It is. And he notes the irony. New Zealand is struggling because their locks are too young. South Africa might struggle because their core is too old and limping.
It's fascinating how he flips the narrative. He acknowledges the Springbok dominance, but puts an expiration date on it.
It's a coping mechanism, maybe for a Kiwi fan to say, we're building for the future while they're stuck in the present. But it's also a valid analytical point.
For sure.
But for right now, today, on January 20, 2026, Rassie Erasmus is the one posting the memes, and New Zealand is the one searching for answers.
So let's recap the situation because there are a lot of moving parts here.
We have Rassie Erasmus keeping Tony Brown, using AI memes to shut down rumors about him leaving for the All Blacks.
Right.
We have New Zealand Rugby in chaos after firing Scott Robertson, likely looking to Jamie Joseph as the savior.
And we have a massive debate heating up about whether New Zealand needs to copy South Africa's homework and let guys like Brodie Retallick wear the black jersey again.
That is the key takeaway for me. The firing of Robertson might be the catalyst that forces New Zealand to modernize its rules. The pressure is on.
And that brings us to the end of this deep dive. But before we go, I want to leave you with a final thought.
Go on.
Stevenson called Rassie childish. He said it was a disservice. But think about this. If this crisis and the pressure from Rassie's success forces New Zealand to change their eligibility rules, could Rassie's childish rivalry actually be the thing that saves the All Blacks?
That is a provocative thought. If he forces them to adapt, he might create a much stronger enemy for the future.
Exactly. Sometimes your biggest rival is the one who forces you to get better. If Brodie Retallick comes back because Rassie Erasmus made a meme, well, that's a butterfly effect nobody saw coming.
I think we'll be watching the New Zealand boardroom just as closely as the scoreboard in the next few months.
Absolutely. We want to hear from you, though. Do you agree with Stevenson that the Bucks are limping and too old? Or is that just sour grapes? And was that AI video funny, or was it too far?
Let us know your thoughts. We read the comments, and we want to know where you stand on the Wolf of Wall Street debate.
And a final reminder, please subscribe to Rugby Obsession. We are going to be following this story wherever it leads. And trust me, with Rassie involved, it's going somewhere interesting.
It always does.
Thank you for listening to the Rugby Obsession Deep Dive, and we'll look forward to you listening to our next episode.